Hey everybody, thank you so much for checking the channel out. My name is Agabus, and today I've got a little bit of commentary to share on some videos that came across my desk not too long ago here. I thought these interviews were very interesting. The Minneapolis Federal Reserve President Neil Kashkari was on the CNBC this morning, and they talked a bit about rate hikes. Now, I really like Joe Kernan because he does such a good job on really questioning both sides of someone's, let's say, fiscal policy theories. So I think he's a really good interviewer when he has people on. This one I thought was very interesting because not only did Joe have a few questions for the president, but also Steve Leisman, who's usually at the press conferences for the Federal Reserve, also threw in a couple of questions as well. Now, you got to check the interview out for yourself. I think there's a lot of interesting points. And I got to be quite honest with you, I would never want to be in this position that these presidents of the Fed are in. I think the position would be extremely difficult. And the biggest reason I have is that they have what's called a dual mandate. Two purposes or two missions. The first one is for full employment. Full employment is everybody working or close there. The second one, though, is going to be stable prices. Now, some economists would argue that if you have full employment, you can't, or it'd be difficult to have stable prices because of the supply and demand structures that get created when you have full employment. So some people would argue that the dual mandate that they have is very difficult to actually accomplish. And I think this interview does such a good job of highlighting some of that. Now, they'll press Kashkari on the interest rates that they have and the interest rate hike cycle that we've been in, asking, is it too restrictive? Is it not restrictive enough? They do a great job answering. And again, I think the Fed's answers are difficult because when you run an organization that has unlimited money supply and can expand and contract the money supply at will, it's difficult to answer a lot of these questions because more or less some of the answers that they have are just really theory, to be quite honest. Now, I think if you look at these interviews, and there's two of them here, it's almost like a series, part one, part two, and I'll link those in the comment section below. I think it's very interesting to listen to what the conversation is like here, questioning the Federal Reserve president versus another conversation they had regarding James Grant. Now, James Grant is a founder and editor of Grants. Grant has also written 9 books regarding money and history. You can find him at grantsinterestrateobserver.com, him and his team. But he comes on every once in a while to give us 2 cents. The biggest thing that I think was interesting on this interview, and you can look at the interview below, but he will press for the idea that interest rates should not be set, should not be created, should not be mandated, but interest rates should actually have a free float based upon the market. They should be market forces, different banks competing with each other, offering different interest rates to different people depending on, obviously, different circumstances. I think that's an interesting conversation to have. Is a mandate or a centralized power with interest rates better? Or should there be a free and open market where people are able to dictate which interest rates they offer given certain people or climate or whatever? But the idea is really around what's called monetary policy and monetary theory. Now, this interview I thought was very interesting because of something that took place, not because of the conversation that happened. If you'll notice at the beginning of the interview, you can see where all the anchors and James are sitting here. And as the conversation progresses, James will mention or hint at the Federal Reserve, maybe might not have the money that they say that they have, and referencing how it should be ran as a company. I'll let you be the judge on what you think is happening here, but take a quick listen and you tell me your thoughts in the comment section below.
And without baselines and without sidelines. So circumspection in public finance is out the window.
You cannot be serious.
The Federal Reserve itself is showing sizable net equity. It would be, in the language of the private sector, broke.
Jim, we have to run. But
we do.
Very quickly,
just getting going.
Before you do, very quickly, if you're right.
Now, I don't know if you caught that, but James is talking to Joe to his right, and then very softly you can hear Joe say, "Are you serious?" And then a second later, Becky jumps in and say, hey, we've got to go. Sorry. Let's listen to it one more time.
Sidelines. So circumspection in public finance is out the window.
You cannot be serious.
The Federal Reserve itself is showing sizable net equity. It would be, in the language of the private sector, broke.
Jim, we have to run. But
Oh, we do.
very quickly,
Just getting going.
before you do, very quickly, if you're
Boy, I don't know about that, but I thought that was interesting to hear the someone was jumping in. But again, let me know your comments in the comment section below. I thought all interviews were very well put together. I really enjoyed the one with the Fed president, but you can listen to all these interviews here. I dropped the link in the description below. Thank you so much for chiming in, to listening to some of the ideas and some of the things that I'm sharing here today. Appreciate the time. Looking forward to the next video tomorrow.